Today we are doing math lesson 95, and this is about two-step problems about a fraction of a group. The word problems in this lesson are two-step problems involving fractions of a group. So first we're going to have to divide the number in one part, then we multiply to find the number in more than one part. Okay, so we're going to do some examples for this one. All right, so example 1. There were 30 campers in the state park. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. 30 campers. 2/3 of them wore green jackets. So I'm going to write that fraction. Wore green jackets. How many campers wore green jackets? What do you think? 2/3. Yeah, 2/3 wore green jackets. The word thirds tells us there are 3 equal groups. That's our denominator. So first we have to find the number in each group. Okay, so our first step for this one is we're going to take our 30 campers and use thirds are 3. There are 3 groups of them, 3 even groups, and 30 campers. Okay, we can look at this and we don't need to do our whole division process. We know, because we know our multiplication facts, that 10 times 3 is 30. So we know that our quotient is going to be 10. So what that 10 means is that there are 10 campers in each group. Okay, so there's my first fact. I know now that there are 10 campers in each group. So one way that you can help to figure this out is you can draw a diagram. So I'm going to draw a little diagram. All right, so I'm going to put 10 campers. 10 campers. And I did 3 because we know there are 3 groups of 10 for a total of 30 campers. All right, and I'll write that at the top. I know there's a total of 30. Each group there's 10 campers. Okay, so they tell us that 2/3 wore green jackets. So what I need to kind of see is 1/3 is going to be 10 campers. Then 2/3 is 2 boxes here. So 2/3, that's how many campers wore green jackets. So these 2 boxes, that equals a total of 20 campers. Now these 20 campers, they wore 20 campers who wore green jackets. Okay, and then I have 10 campers who did not wear green jackets. So 2/3 wore green jackets and 1/3 did not. So no green jackets. Okay, so 2/3 were green jackets. In 2 groups, there were 10 campers in each group. So we take those 2 10s and we add them together. You could multiply 2 times 10. So 20 campers wore green jackets. So that leaves 10 campers who did not wear green jackets. All right, so we're going to do our next problem. The force of gravity on Mars is about 2/5. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. 2/5, the force of gravity on Earth. A rock brought back to Earth from Mars weighs 50 pounds. How much? So I'm going to write that down. 50 lbs for pounds. How much did the rock weigh on Mars? Okay, so the mass of the rock is the same on Earth as on Mars. We've talked about mass is the amount of space we take up. Wherever we are, we take up the same amount of space. However, weight deals with gravity. Our weight is affected by gravity. And so weights are going to vary on different planets that have less gravity. That's why they float on the moon. However, Earth is more massive than Mars, so the force of gravity is greater on Earth than on Mars. The rock on Mars weighed only 2/5 of its weight on Earth. To find 2/5 of 50 pounds, we need to first divide. So if you remember the beginning of the lesson, we first divide and then we multiply. Okay, so to find out how much, oh gosh, what am I thinking? We need to find out how much the rock weighs on Mars. Okay, so our first step is going to be to divide. We're going to take our 50 pounds and we're going to divide it by our denominator here. Okay, 50 divided by 5. Again, simple division problem. We know our multiplication facts. We know our 5s. So we know that 5 times 10 is going to give us 50. So if you need to do the process, you're welcome to do that. Don't feel like you have to do that. Okay. So what this means is that the weight of rock on Mars, so if we divide it up into 1/5, we're going to do kind of like we did last time, our little diagram. And we're going to need 5 boxes because it was out of 5. So 10 pounds. And 10 is what we got when we took our 50 and divided it by our denominator. Okay. All right, so we want to find the weight of rock on Mars. We know that 1/5 is 10 pounds, but the weight of rock is 2/5. So we're going to take 2 boxes. So you could do that 10 times 2 or 10 plus 10. You're going to get the same answer. So each fifth is 10 pounds. So 2/5 equals 20 pounds. Okay, so the weight of the rock that weighs 50 pounds on Earth weighs only 20 pounds on Mars. So it does indeed weigh less. Okay, now so I'll go ahead and show you guys the next question on here. Says, why did the weight of rock change when it was brought to Earth? We talked about this, how weight and mass are different. Weight is related to the force of gravity. The force of gravity on Mars is less than the force of gravity on Earth. So the weight, the amount it is in pounds, is greater on Earth than on mass. Than on Mars. Goodness, miss, how your words. So the mass is the same, but the weight is what changes because the gravity is what changes. All right, today I'm going to do some of these lesson practice problems with you. I think they will be helpful for you when you start your homework assignment. All right, so 3/4 of the 24 crackers were still on checkers. 3/4 of the 24 checkers were still on the board. How many checkers were still on the board? Okay, so we know there's a total of 24. Well, there started out 24. So 3/4 of 24. Hey, we have done problems like this before. Before today, we have indeed. Okay, so we're going to take our total number here, 24, and we're going to divide it by our denominator of 4 here. Okay, again, we might need to do our multiplication, sing our multiplication songs if that's helpful, or you can do it this way. 4 cannot go into 2. Okay, 4 can go into 24 6 times. 6 times 4 is going to give us 24. Okay, so what that means is that 1/4 of 24 equals 6. I'm sorry for my handwriting. 1/4 of 24 equals 6. So I'm going to draw my boxes. Now in each box, I'm going to do 6. Now, you may have forgotten. I need to do 4 boxes because that's my denominator. Okay. And I need to find out 3/4. So I need 3 boxes of 6. So the easiest way is to do 6 times 3, or you can do 6 plus 6 plus 6. You're going to get the same answer. 6 times 3 is 18. So 3/4 of 24 means 18 checkers are left. Okay, I'm going to do another one. 2/5 of 30 students So I'm going to write that down. 2/5 of 30 students studied more than 1 hour for a test. How many students studied for more than 1 hour? I bet at this point you could tell me what to do, but I'm going to re-explain since I'm not there in person. All right, so 30 is my total number. Then I take it divided by my denominator by 5. Okay, and I know that 5 can go into 36 times. All right, so once again, I need to draw my little boxes. And I am going to draw 5 because the denominator is 5. And each box is going to be 6. Now, this is the last part. I have to look at the numerator. That tells me how many boxes I need to count. So in this case, I need to count 2 boxes. You can do 6 times 2 or 6 plus 6. Both ways, you're going to get 12. So 2/5 of 30 is going to give us 12 students. Okay. All right. And then C, I'll do C with you. The force of gravity on Mercury is about 1/3 the force of gravity on Mars. Let me show you. It is right here. How much less would a tire weigh on Mercury if it weighs 42 pounds on Earth? And would the mass be the same? Why or why not? All right, so there are a couple parts to this story problem. So it's about 1/3 of the force of gravity on Earth. How much less would a tire weigh? So we have our total number, 42, and we are going to divide it by 3. Okay, so this is one we're going to need to do our division process with. 3 can go into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. 12. 3 can go into 12 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12, 14. I'm going to check my work. 14 times 3, 4 times 3 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Okay, so I got 42. Now it says 1/3. So what that means is that the tire would weigh 14 pounds less, but that doesn't tell us how many pounds it would weigh. We have one more step. Okay, so we know it would weigh 14 pounds less, but that's not my answer for this question. We want to find out what the tire would weigh. So we need to take 42 minus 14 to figure out what it would weigh. 12 minus 4 is going to give us 8. 3 minus 1 is going to give us 2. So the tire weighs 28 pounds. So there's 2 steps in that. You had to divide and then subtract. Would the mass be the same? The mass is always the same. Mass is the space we take up. Weight is how gravity plays onto us. Okay, that's the gravity on us. That's why the weight changes. Okay, that is the end. I am out of time for this lesson. If you have questions, feel free to set up a time on Zoom to meet with me. I would love to see your faces. Have a great day. Bye.